talk a lot all the time about ChatGPT and the power of it actually being a junior developer. And so I'm here in the brew house. This is real, not fake. I can throw a pen. I don't have a pen. Here, that. Not a. I don't have a green screen or anything. So I'm in the brew house. Anyways, I thought it'd be fun to build an app from scratch that would work on Android, work on iOS, work on my Linux machine. If you're running Windows, it would run directly on there as well. We're going to use Flutter and Dart. I am not a Flutter and Dart developer. In fact, I have only been working with the language for a couple of weeks. You can see from my previous stuff, you can see that I've got talk about Flutter in my past ChatGPT. I want to show you some of the cool things that we can do with GPT-4 specifically that maybe we can't do with GPT 3.5. And I want to, like I say, build an app from scratch. I've got my Visual Studio Code here. This, what I'm going to show you, anyone can do in any operating system, Linux, Mac, Windows. You can build it and test it right there. Nothing special. Like I say, I use Visual Studio Code. Just Google Visual Studio Code made by Microsoft. It works great. Usually I'm not a Microsoft fan, but after Atom, ATOM, IDE kind of went away, we found trouble with, or there was no really good editors, and Visual Studio Code kind of came in and kind of took the trophy. So I'm going to do this nonstop until we have something. The only app I'm going to build, what I'm going to build is a red light app. So it's going to be a red, yellow, green. There's going to be a timer that lets the green be on for so long, and then it goes to yellow, and then it'll go to red. And it's going to kind of look like a stoplight. I'm not going to put any artwork in it, but I am going to show you how we can generate an app icon using ChatGPT. And yeah, we'll go from there. So first things first, we go into ChatGPT and we tell it exactly what we want. My keyboard would like to create a simple application in Flutter/Dart that is a stoplight. Now, keep in mind with ChatGPT 4, and maybe I can show this here in a little bit, I can actually draw a picture, take a picture of that picture, and have it design the layout. I'm not going to do that in this example, I don't think. I'm just going to kind of describe it. ChatGPT knows what a stoplight looks like, and so it's going to be smart enough to draw the circles. Simple app in Flutter and Dart that's a stoplight. It should have a green light at the bottom, a yellow light in the middle, and a red light at the top. It should start on red for, let's say, 10 seconds. It will go to green after that. Then after, say, 5 seconds, this is an awful stoplight, it will go to yellow. After that, back to red. This will keep going forever. Now notice what I'm not telling it. I'm not telling it to light the light up. All I'm saying is just go to. What does that even mean? I don't even know. Go to. It means I want to make it light up. So could I be more specific to ChatGPT? Of course I could. But I'm not going to. I'm going to give it minimal information. I want a Flutter and Dart app. I want it to look like a stoplight, green at the bottom, and I give it the time limitations and all of that. Let's see what it does. I have never tried this for this particular app. I've obviously done it for other things, so I'm a little bit, kind of up to date, or I know I have an idea what it's going to generate, but let's see it. Also, we probably need to Flutter create. Also, please show me the commands to create the app. So we're starting from scratch, pretending we don't know anything about Flutter and Dart. So here we go. I don't know why it just made it as DALL-E 3. So we may have to redo this because DALL-E's gonna see what happens. So if you've used ChatGPT 3.5 and you're looking at this, you'll think, hey, it's kind of slow, right? GPT-4 is a little bit slower, and that it is what it is. So generating me code. We can go back and start reviewing what it is. Okay, so Flutter create stoplight app, CD stoplight app. So we're going to open this project then in Visual Studio Code so we can envision it. And still generating that code. So okay, there it is. So there it is. So it's just listing the specs of the app. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our first step. So I should be able to do it right in here. I could say new terminal, and I could say, and the first thing it says here is we run Flutter create stoplight. I'm just going to copy that. So this assumes you have Flutter installed. Installing Flutter is not difficult. There's great tutorials on doing that. You could ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT will show you, but here it is on my machine. So it's going to create a stoplight app. And Flutter does its thing. It is what it is. Like I say, I don't know much about Flutter. I've only recently discovered it. There's probably better things to do. I know a lot of people are out there using Rust and stuff to develop applications, and I have interest in learning some Rust, but as far as from the time of thought to being able to put it out and get some sample code, Flutter is quick, and using Visual Studio Code, it's pretty awesome. So in my home directory, so I'm going to open the folder, and I got the stoplight app open. So now you kind of see the layout in Visual Studio Code. You have the libraries and whatever. So I want to go into the lib main.dart. So main.dart came with all of this. I am going to completely wipe this away. And I'm going to copy this code that it wrote. And we can go through this just a little bit and see. I think I see maybe where it screwed up, but I think it's going to maybe sometimes show lights at the same time, which would be kind of interesting. So we'll get to use it to actually correct the application here. So let's paste the code in. So the first thing you'll notice right off the gate is I have these blue little squiggly underlines. This doesn't mean that the code is broke. What it actually means is that Visual Studio Code thinks that there's probably better ways to do that. And with Visual Studio Code, we can just highlight over top, and I could add the key constructor, and then I can come here, we underline that, and I can add constant modifiers across the whole thing. And you'll notice now that, I guess I got here, add key, quick fix, ignore, and this one, add constant modifier. All right. Whether you believe it or not, we have an app right now that is ready to run. So I'm going to open a terminal, and I think there's actually a way to run it like this. Run without debugging, start debugging. I'm going to run without debugging. Let's see what it does. I've never actually done it this way. So it takes, so it does compile down to real code, real machine code. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. And I've had it write applications in assembly. I've had it write applications in C, C++. I've had it audit code in C and C++. Now, I think it's important to reiterate here that ChatGPT is what would be called a junior developer. So sometimes things become difficult for it to understand and do. So here's our stoplight. And I think you're going to see after so many seconds, make it smaller. So these errors are fine. It should start to show, unless I ran it wrong. Yeah, so red. should go away, I hope. Green. Yellow. Red. So it was literally that easy to make an application. So let's I told you this thing would run on multiple operating systems, multiple whatever. So let's go ahead and close this. And I'm on my other screen here, so I'm going to open up. You'll see it here as I go. Development, Android Studio. Pop open Android Studio here. Oh, it's actually going to pop open on my main screen. Usually it pops open over on the screen. Oh, there it is. All right. My screens aren't perfectly aligned in here, so all right. And all I'm going to do is open the Virtual Device Manager, which comes over here. And I'll fire up my Android Pixel, my fake Android Pixel. And you'll see it. It takes just a second to boot up here. And we're going to launch the app on here. I'm going to close this, see if I can. Working with limited space here. Inspector, there we go. How many minutes in are we? I don't even know. What does it say? 11 minutes, and we've made an app that would work on multiple phones, computers. I mean, what's the usefulness? There probably isn't any usefulness in this, but the fact that we did it is pretty amazing. I think, the layouts and things like that are stuff that's generally speaking pretty hard for me to understand, and I'm just not I'm not a layout guy. I don't know how to. I'm not a front end developer. But with ChatGPT, it really does speed the whole development process. And the thing is it's not just front end. It understands back end. It understands all of it. So I think we're up good enough here. I'm going to do it through the terminal this time. Just Flutter run in the terminal. And it should ask me what I want to run. Oh, no, it's going to automatically compile it for the phone. So the emulator itself, that's normal. The emulator itself is running x86 64-bit Android, and but it's still running the Java and all of that like your normal phone would. It's instead of like trying to emulate the ARM processor on top of your computer, it's actually running in real x86 64-bit. So it's faster, basically, is the reason. It's still running in an emulator. It's still running QEMU, KVM to actually do its thing, but it's running with the real system CPU, so it should be faster. It does take a minute to compile all the Java and everything for this. And I'll show you something cool, too, about Dart and Flutter, like basically not related to this tutorial, but just something interesting when you're up and running. So let it compile up here. Oh, and I guess we gotta create a app icon for our app. Yeah, absolutely. Let's do the whole thing. Let's make this a usable application. All with ChatGPT. Well, ChatGPT and one other site. But we'll ask ChatGPT for recommendations on where it would go, even though I already know where to go to get the icons for our app. This, like I say, takes a minute. I guess I can show you inside the application. You can see here's like the Android project. Oh, here we go. All right, so now it's installing it. You should see it in a minute. Okay. Boom. So there's our stoplight app running on Android. Simple, easy. Like in a second here, we should see the red light go. We'll let it do its thing, so it's not so you don't think I'm doing any smoke and mirrors or anything like that. red. I should have made the times quicker, but whatever. Green. All right. Now I'm going to leave this emulator running so we don't have to go through that startup process again. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to move it off to the side here. So it's still running. It's just, yeah. So now I'm going to go back to ChatGPT because we need an app icon. So I'm already in DALL-E 3, but I'm going to open a new chat, and I'm going to say I want DALL-E 3. So I'm going to say I have created an app that looks like a stoplight. Please generate me an icon that, let's see, what style, that is a Gothic stoplight. Please make sure it has no background and has full width and height. So DALL-E is going to generate some images for me. Usually you get 4 images. Okay, I got 2. So here's our Gothic stoplight. I like number 2, so I'm gonna click on number 2. I'm gonna download it. Boom. Okay, now I've got it. And now I'm gonna say, are there any sites I can use to, let's see, are there any sites I can use to generate all the required Android and iOS icons? App icon maker. So what is the URL for app icon maker? Now, it's always important to remember that ChatGPT is not live. There is an option to browse the web with ChatGPT, and it does work pretty good. But it's important to remember that sometimes the things are a little out of date, and that's okay. I don't know if this URL is right, but we're going to try it. There it is. All right, so I'm going to choose the file. It's the one we just downloaded. There's my Gothic. So there's my different icons. Download all icons in a zip file. I actually haven't ever used this one. I've used a different one, but that's okay. Come on. It might be. Let's try it, download it again. It's still spinning. In the meantime, I'll open up the res open containing folder. So here's all my icons, the default icons. So there's like the launcher icons. Now, if this comes out right, it should have the directory structure built in. It doesn't. So this isn't the one I would use, generally speaking. Let's see. Let's try Icon Slayer. Because the right one that you find actually generates them and puts them. So all I really have to do is just drop the stuff in those folders. So let's try make. Service resizes your icon at all formats. Let's try. What is the URL for make app icon? also the one I've never used. But let's see if we can make it. Well, that's cute. I'm going to look over here to see which one I've used in the past. I guess I don't know which one I've used in the past. Okay, so now it's just showing me what it would look like on each device. Let's see, download icons. It's probably gonna make me sign up. Oh, nope, it didn't. Now, if it did it right, yeah, that's what I wanted. So I can just take these icons, and I'm gonna go over to here. Let's make sure that they're named right. Yep, that's exactly right. So I'm just gonna delete these, just with no prejudice. Just trash. I'll take these, I'm gonna drag them in. There. Alright. Now I'm going to go back to ChatGPT. I'm gonna go here. I'll move myself up to the corner. I'm going to move the stoplight back over. And I'm going to kill it. And I'm gonna do Flutter Run again. As you can see, our app has been working flawlessly the entire time on my other screen. You'll also notice it compiled faster this time. Oh, look at that. We got an app icon. Now, would this be what I would use? Probably not. I mean, I would spend a little more time massaging it. So from here, if I go home and I go up, you'll see that I should have my stoplight app right there. That's it. In 22 minutes, we've done icons, we've done the code, we've tested it on Android and our desktop, and it just works. Now, if we look at the code, and at this point, if you're not interested in what's happening, you can probably, stop watching. You've seen now how Flutter and Dart can create an app, or ChatGPT can create a Flutter and Dart application in just minutes. It's as a junior developer. But let's look at the code. So if you're done, see you later. Okay, so if we look at the code, we'll see that here's our main. And remember, I am not an expert in Flutter or Dart. I've only been using it for like maybe 2 weeks. We've got our main class here. Flutter to me is similar to JavaScript, or at least or TypeScript or something. I know nothing about TypeScript other than that I don't like it, but I'm sure it is useful for some people. Okay, so we've got this stateless widget. You've got the build. This is like your main build, and then it runs the application, which is here. You can see that there's the main class, or the class that actually runs the code. You've got the background colors they selected for when they're off. This gray color, red, yellow, green. Init state. So right away when the application starts, we want to run this function here. This function states that the timer period, there's a timer, which should be imported. Yeah, Dart async. You'll see the timer periodic is set for 20 seconds. It runs this state. It sets the state for 20 seconds, red, gray, gray. Then there's another future delayed. That's just a promise. That's a promise that something will happen in the future, which is the next state, which is where it sets the red to gray, because red was previously on, so we want to turn the red to gray, and we want to turn the green on. We do a set state. Set state actually says, hey, update what the user sees. Then we have another future delayed after 15 more seconds, where that sets the green to the gray and the yellow, the middle to yellow, and that's it. What you see here is the actual build. So this is how it looks. It uses a scaffold. There's an app bar. That's this up here. You can do a lot with that. We could get rid of it if we wanted to. So this is kind of cool. So if I wanted to let's say I wanted to get rid of the app bar, I just go like this, and I go down here and I hit R. Performs a hot reload, and that didn't work. Let's try a hot restart. Yeah, must not like that I took away the app bar. Might have to be a full like restart, which is fine. I'm not worried about it. We'll do that. Here, let's just do a Flutter run again. I'll keep going. So here's our expanded circles. Here's where it builds the light. Yeah, it must be default that it has to have the app bar. But you know what? We'll ask ChatGPT how we can get rid of the app bar and see what it says. And here's actually where it actually draws a circle. So you can see the child is a build light of these. So I'm gonna move this out of the way. I'm gonna go back to ChatGPT. I'm gonna say Flutter stoplight. Say I'd like to get rid of the app bar. I removed the app bar in the build, but it's still showing. What do I need to do? So this happens sometimes with ChatGPT. All you do is you add a refresh and go back and re-ask my question again. To remove the app bar from the app, I removed. I'm just going to scroll up and I'm going to feed it the code. But the app bar is still showing. How can I make it go away? So it caught it. I didn't save. So it said the app may be running older versions. Ensure that you saved your changes. So I'm going to do an S and I'll move this back over. Do a lowercase r. Like I said, one of my teachers back in school would say a lot of times you spend most of your time swatting mosquitoes when you're looking for bugs. And so they're basically little tiny problems, and that's what we had here. I simply just didn't save it. So now we notice that the red and the line are kind of sneaking into the top here. Now I'm going to either add a sized box, but let's ask him. I'm gonna do this in the most Iowa way I can. How can I scoot the red button down, or the red light down? Spacer. Okay. Yeah, they're using a spacer. So if we look back at our code, you can see we've got return scaffold, body column, max axis alignment, and then children. He just added he or she or ChatGPT, whatever it is, says we should do that. Now you can see that the Visual Studio Code recommended that we add a constant constructor in front of it. Save it. We're going to hit R. So obviously that was too much. So I'm going to take it back and I'm going to say, whoa, too much. How can we add like 5px of padding or something? So now it is, so now it modified the code a little bit more, adding this padding thing. So basically we get rid of spacer and we're going to wrap red light in this padding. And it's going to complain. So we're going to do this and then didn't like that. So we're gonna get real lazy here, and we're gonna just take this. I don't want to code too hard today. It's Friday or something. Actually, it's Sunday. All right, so now it's got top insets 5. It's gonna tell me I probably want a constant because whatever. And okay, I'm gonna move this over, and I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna do an R. Whoa, that really broke it. Let's show you something kind of cool here. So I'm going to take out my snipping tool. Screenshot this one. Select a region. And I'm going to take a picture of this. And I'm going to say, save it. And save it. Now, I'm going to, I got to switch. Default. I'm going to give it an image. So now what happened is when I opened a new one, the ChatGPT doesn't know really about the code that I've wrote. So it doesn't know what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to do a couple of things here. I'm going to say I have this code. It's supposed to show 3 lights, but it looks like the red is gone. Here's my code. So I've given it a picture, I've given it the code, and I've given it my problem. So it obviously, yeah. So it says make sure we wrap each light in expanded. So it's going to show us this, which we know that this isn't the problem because we obviously changed the padding. And this is why too it's important when you start ChatGPT. It basically you started in the right mode. I started it in DALL accidentally, but yeah. So let it do its thing. And right here, it's probably going to show us the expanded. And it's probably going to show us the old way would be my guess. But it's going to be nice and slow here for us. Wait, 33 minutes in. Come on, speed up. Yeah. So it brought it back to the old way, which is fine. So let's do that. Get it back to the way it was. And then now that this thing knows all of our code, let's then ask it, did I close it? No, there it is. I'm going to do R, there, now it's back. So I'm going to say, how can I move the down just a little? It's in the, what do we call that? The top bar on the phone. How move? All right, let's see what it does here. So it's going to rewrite this entire build section. It also added the padding, so it'll be interesting to see what happens here. So I just copied the code, pasted it in, saved it, get my phone back over here, hit the R, and it did it again. Oh, look, I see it. The red is little tiny now. So let's tell it that. All right. So now it's going to still do the safe area, probably still do the padding, but it's going to add the expanded in front of it, which makes it fill up the whole area that it's given. Which is exactly what it's doing. It also changed the build light code here. So probably to make it so all of the heights and widths are exactly the same. So that way we can kind of fit into the whole thing. Let's try it. Get our R. So now it's not centered, but it does fit. See what it does. Now, keep in mind, this might seem like we're doing a lot here, but I've really not talked about, I've talked about what the code's doing, but I didn't write the code. So, I mean, think about that. I'm just telling you what the problem is, like maybe a manager would do to someone who's trying to design the code, right? Well, can I have the icon in flower blue, right? To state a movie. So that did nothing. Let's try one more time here. Yeah. The lights are still on the left. They need to be in the center. The lights are still on the left. They need to be the center. I need to. Aha. Yeah, so it added the center to it, to the build. Oh boy. It actually changed quite a bit here. So let's see what it does. I'm not even going to read what it tells me. I'm just going to... The nice thing is it does provide you an explanation of what it's doing. Oops, I probably should have put this over. All right, so now they're centered, but they need spacing between them. So sometimes you got to give ChatGPT an attaboy. Yeah, you're welcome. All right. All right. Let's do that. Do this, and I'm just going to replace this code. Move this guy over. Hit an R. There, added some spacing. Now, normally I would say I know what to do here, or I would ask, but I can make the lights bigger by simply making their used up area bigger. So now we're back to where we were, and we've got green at the bottom, yellow, red. In 39 minutes, we've created an app that is usable. Now, there's more power to this than just the app creation. ChatGPT can understand API documentation. It can understand code examples. So, for example, I wanted to use Sensors Plus in a project after the one it recommended had been expired or deprecated or whatever. And I wanted to use Sensors Plus, but ChatGPT didn't know about Sensors Plus. So I ended up feeding it some example code, and I told it, now integrate it into our app, and it did it. Just that easy. There's no smoke and mirrors, no tricks here. It created an app that would work on a mobile phone, on your computer in 40 minutes. So, anyways, I've been wanting to show or give an example to people about how you can use ChatGPT in the real world. I don't know that I would call this real world, but it definitely is an example of using it to help speed up development, help speed up any questions in your daily life. I was using it the other day to calculate losses on a soybean ticket from the elevator, and it printed it out. It gave me all of the information about, if I was at 13.3% moisture, how much I lost on a 300 bushel load. Nothing to do with coding, and it gave me the answer in just a few seconds. So, anyways, I just wanted to show this so I could use this as an example of people asking me how I would use ChatGPT or how you could use ChatGPT in the real world to help you with your daily life. So, with that, talk to you later.